So I just had this big discussion with this gentleman outside of here in the homeless shelter just now about what would aid international development, what would cut down the problems in the world, what would cut down corruption, what would, help humanity best. And we were discussing, he seems to be a Trump supporter, I think. And I think basically all those supporters really want the same things that everybody does. And I wouldn't have said there's anything wrong with Trump supporters per se, but I don't think that the regime of Donald Trump was the answer for those issues. I don't think that it was a healthy paradigm at all, democratically or politically or anything like that in the United States. And he was very much trying to make the point, I think, well, I don't know what sort of point he was trying to make. We seem to be agreeing on quite a lot of things, actually. And I was saying that, you need to liberalize borders and things like this so you can allow the free movement of people and allow the exchange of ideas and collaboration and this sort of stuff like what we have or had in the EU. And we need to get those things going again. We need to integrate as sets of free nations, right? And I think the idea of a super state isn't such a bad idea. I support that idea. I think it could be a beautiful thing. I really do. I think it could be a phenomenal thing. A federation of European nations or a European federation or something like that. I think it could greatly aid our prosperity and might as a civilization, and that we could continue to develop. I think there's this odd paradigm we have from geography or political geography, whereby people say, oh, other places developed already. Who's to say we're developed here? Why are we the developed world? Why is there this past tense developed? And, sorry, the lighting in here is absolutely dreadful. I really want to write and speak on topics such as this, such as international development and global geopolitics and these sorts of things, and these sorts of ideas fascinate me, but I don't have a degree. And I'm trying to stake out my kind of public intellectual zone, if you like, with the topics that I talk about. But it's very distressing that we have these binaries, and they're false binaries, I think, a lot of the time in politics and decision making. And I think we could do a lot better than the system that we currently have at the moment. I think we could do better with more coalitions, more, parties formed of several parties, and, more unilateral agreement on different points of contention, and, a more diverse approach to politics rather than the false binaries I think that we have at the moment in the West, or in the Anglosphere, I should say. More like with the Democratic Party and the Republican Party in the United States, these two political behemoths sort of constantly at odds with one another. And I think we could do a lot better than the Labour and Conservative Party here in the United Kingdom. Though here in the United Kingdom we do have alternatives, such as the Green Party and the Liberal Democrats. And I suppose UKIP as well, right, if we're to think about that. But it's a very, very democratically uneasy system that we have. We need more plurality somehow, but we need to enforce plurality, I think, on a level. So when it comes down to base levels of political ideology, we could insist maybe on a portion of the chamber, 80% or 60% being liberal or something, either liberal conservatives or liberal socialists or whatnot, but liberal nonetheless, since we, that's really the bedrock of our democratic principles here in the United Kingdom, isn't it? Liberality, freedom, tolerance, respect for one another. Or do we really have that? And then you get into the Christian principles that ostensibly underlie British democracy, or underlie, what it's really all supposed to be about. Principles of equity and fairness, percolating down the centuries in our body of statute or our legal system or our unwritten legal principles, the rule of law as well, separation of powers, all these sorts of things. And I think, well, has it become too befuddling and confusing for people? Is there simply too much of it? Is there too much statute? What is the reality of our political landscape? And how does it manifest? Is it incorruptible? Is it corrupted? We don't know, or we don't fully understand its integrations and how it operates. It was, the first supposedly democratic nation in the West, United Kingdom. But was it? I don't know if it was so much. Was it like the Dutch Republic? Could you say that that was the first democratic state in Europe, in the modern world anyway? I don't know, really. I should know, I think, if I want to have like journalistic pretensions or talk about these issues. I should know my history better, probably. But I'm just a limited human being, and I research physics quite a lot, pretty obsessively, and that's mainly what I've been doing. So I don't know so much about all this political stuff. As to whether or not it's really a science, I don't know if it's a science so much, really. Or is it a social science? Maybe it's a social science. I'll allow it that. It has like scientific pretensions, but it's not really a science. It's not real science. It's like kind of, well, okay. It incorporates the use of data and statistics to make what kind of rhetorical points, I don't know, to bolster points of rhetoric, I think. Or it's not ideological, or it's not unideological, like a true science should be. It is influenceable by, well, different modes of thinking, different ideologies, which might be the fundamental problem with it. That's kind of like a very Slavoj Žižek point, I think. Is this just rambling nonsense, or am I making sense to anyone out there? I hope I am. I'd love to have some more feedback with my subscribers, fans, whatever you like to call them. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye. Love you lots.